All right, Krystal.
Yes.
Krystal,
That's Krystal with a K.
With a K, thank you. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up right here in Los Angeles. I grew up in Beverly Hills.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tell
I'm native.
Tell me about your family.
Well, my family, I come from a mixed race background. My dad is Puerto Rican and Caucasian. My mom is Creole, Black, French, and Indian. And it's just sort of a whole big clusterfuck of fucking, melting pot of such. So, that's basically.
How would you describe the way you grew up, your childhood?
My childhood was pretty interesting because I'm transgender, but I've always felt different, or I've always felt in between. So it's like, I remember my mom at a very early age, at like 7 years old, she says, "Chris, you're going to be different than the rest of your little friends or the people, the kids around you." She says, "But you know what? Don't let anybody tell you that you can't be what you want to be or do what you want to do in life." She says, "I support you, whatever that is."
Your mom said this.
Yeah, I mean, that is like the biggest she was my first superhero.
That's great.
And that was like the biggest shield around me. So it was like anything anybody said about me just bounced right off of me because I didn't give a fuck. My mom approved of me. And she said I was wonderful and fabulous. And so, yeah, I've carried that with me. So I grew up with that. And that was like the biggest thing, that was the biggest support one can have. And it's really great now. I see these transgender kids that are like 5, 4, 3, just like, young, super young, and their parents are letting them find out who they want to be in life and find their authenticity, who they are. And that's important. That is so important because, I know people that haven't had that opportunity and they go through years of being in denial and hiding and not being their authentic selves. And that's really a travesty, actually. It's a travesty.
It seems like there are so many people of all ages that are transitioning.
Oh, yes.
And was this the case 50, 100 years ago?
Nah, not particularly. They just put on women's clothing and dressed the part and, just...
It stayed in the closet?
Yeah, pretty much, I would imagine. So
it was always going on. It just wasn't...
It was always going on from the beginning of time, yes.
Wow. And so tell me your teenage years. How were they?
My teenage years were great. I grew up like going out to clubs, early on. In Hollywood, famous clubs. At 17, at 19, I partied with Prince for my 19th birthday. We went to Spago's, Carlos and Charlie's, and ended up at this club called The Odyssey, which was like a teeny bopper, club, but it was after hours. Really fun. I mean, yeah. And, that was kind of my teenage years, just going out and partying and such. I was into dance. I've been into so many different dance, musical theater, hair and makeup, all of that. Yeah.
And drugs have been a part of your life?
Drugs have been a super big part of my life. I grew up at the age of 11. I was diagnosed with ADHD, bipolar depressive disorder, a couple others on top of what they called back then in the 1800s, gender dysphoria. And so I had a lot of shit going on. I had this nervous condition and so my doctor recommended that I be on Ritalin. At that time, it was called Ritalin, which is Adderall now. Mm-hmm. But I was on Ritalin. My family physician recommended that, going through puberty, maybe smoke a little marijuana because of this nervous condition I had and all this shit I had going on. So, drugs were a part of my life from the very beginning, pretty much.
And what was your lowest point?
My lowest point was... Well, I manufactured methamphetamine, of course. Why not? I've been doing it my entire life at that point. And my lowest point was where I got busted for manufacturing meth, and I was sentenced to a program treatment facility in Corcoran Prison, upstate. That was a drug prison called the Walden House. And so I was sentenced to 3 years. I had to do 16 months on that. And that was my lowest point. I realized that, I'm not supposed to live life like this. This is a disease, and there is a solution for it. And that was my lowest point. I actually met the person who sponsors me now. I actually met him there, which is amazing. That's our story. And that was my lowest point.
How many years were you using?
I was using, I shot, manufactured, and distributed methamphetamine for 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah, a long career. And,
Crystal meth is like the gay and trans drug, isn't it?
Oh, it's just a drug for yeah.
I mean, everyone uses
now,
it.
yeah, totally. It's really horrible because I've seen people that have not been able to recover from that. So the fact that I used and fucking shot up for 30 years and I still have like a couple brain cells left.
I mean, do you think you're where you would be if you had never used mentally?
No, I'm grateful for it all, because had I never used, I never would be where I'm at today. You know.
But do you think there are like physical or mental price you paid for?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Most definitely. And it's starting to show up now, now that I'm 100 years old. I'm a young vampire, but I'm still a vampire. It's starting to show up physically a little bit every now and then, It's like my knees aren't what they used to be, but, that's because I used to be on them all the time. Today, not so much, in moderation, okay?
So you were doing things like that to make money?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I've done everything to make money, like prostitution. We had in San Francisco, I lived in San Francisco for a bit, for several years, and we had me and 3 other tranny girlfriends of mine. We had this service called Gentleman's Pleasures, and it was supposed to be like, a therapeutic massage thing. My specialty was oral therapy. Yes, I do have a doctorate in oral therapy. And we made money. I sold the drugs. I fucking, catered to them sexually. It was, and the things that these men want you to do to them that are straight men, it's like that are corporate businessmen, have their wives and children in suburbia. But the things that these freaks want you to do to them, they love a chick with a dick. You wouldn't believe it, but it's true, yeah. So I'm like, okay, it's your fantasy, honey. You're paying for it, Mr. Straight.
The whole time you were living that life, were you? It sounds like it was in prison where you figured out that this was not for you.
Right. Yeah.
But even when you're in the heart of all the chaos, did you ever think that this was just too crazy a life?
I thought that was just the way life was supposed to be.
It's just the way it is.
It's like, hey, I'm winning, but really I wasn't, but I was, It's a fine line.
Yeah, Hollywood's crazy like that, isn't it?
Oh, Hollywood's very crazy like that.
You lived in New York as well?
I lived in New York for like 7 years. Yes, I did.
What years were those?
Oh my God, I can't even remember, but it was in the late 80s or late 80s, yeah. Late 80s for around that, yeah.
How did New York's scene compared to LA's?
It was a whole lot different then, but I loved it. It was, we partied at the Paradise Garage. It was like, I had to import my meth because everyone was doing cocaine there. I kind of caught the last year or two of fucking Studio 54, which was kind of interesting. But yeah, it was great. It was like, yeah, I can go out at 3 a.m. and, end the party at 10 a.m., it's like, it was good. It was good. And it wasn't. I also had a tragic incident there where I was leaving this club called the Pyramid in the Alphabets. And I was also... I'm going to just full disclosure. I was also dating a man in the Italian mafia back then, and he gave me this little pearl handle Bijon gun to for protection. And I had an incident where this man tried to attack my sister and I had to shoot him, and I ended up killing him, and it was self-defense. And I told my friend that I was dating, and they said make a police report, and they had already, everything was I made the police report, and nothing else came of it.
No time,
nothing.
Not even showing up in court.
Nothing else came of it. That's the mafia for you, But yeah, New York was a blast. It was an experience.
And your father, was he in your life?
My father, like I said, he was Puerto Rican. He basically was in Puerto Rico, but he came out here for a while, and he wasn't in my life that much. I remember at the age of 10, I remember this clearly. He asked me, Chris, he says, are you gay? And at that time, I really didn't know the definition of gay, but I knew what he was talking about, and I'm like, yes, I was. And I saw him shed tears over that, and it was really weird. But I'm like, why are you crying? I'm okay. Why are you crying? Shit.
Do you think you were born this way?
I definitely have been born that way. I remember my grandma told me, my Creole grandmother, she told me, yeah, there's something different about that Chris. I don't know what it is, but Chris is special.
Because so many people think, oh, something must have happened to you that made you...
That made me know. At the age of 8, because I used to go back and forth, back east, back and forth to see my mom when I lived with my grandparents from the age of 2 to 10. I fucking seduced this conductor on Amtrak at the age of 8 and started playing with his penis and sucking it. I mean, like,
at 8 years old.
At the age of 8, and it wasn't like I'm the one that initiated it. Like, I was a slutty culprit diva at that time.
Do you have regrets in your life?
Do I have regrets in my life? Not many. Not many, very few, and none that I can really say that amount to anything. No, I was able to be able to get through things, and once I got older, a little bit older and more mature, and realized that okay, this is the life. But after I did that stint in prison for manufacturing, and realized that my life could change, I've had no regrets. I've had none at all, pretty much. I try to do anything that's put in front of me now that I know I have a higher power and I am blessed and highly favored, and I do mean something and I do matter. It was that's when I transitioned in recovery. I have 18 years sober, and I transitioned in recovery, and that's how I really started to love myself truly, and find out who I truly was inside. And that was a miracle, because I remember my mom used to tell me, how come you don't love yourself? You're putting that poison in your body. I'm like, I didn't understand it then, but I do understand it today. And it was I got to transition into who I really am and become the completely authentic person that I am today, and be comfortable in my skin. I was, but I'm really comfortable in my skin now.
You seem very comfortable.
Yeah, I give absolutely zero fucks about anyone else's opinion about me, except for my higher power and my sponsor, which happens to be RDJ. He sponsored me my entire sobriety, and I don't want to cry, but I am so grateful for that man. I met that person in the prison that I did the fucking 16 months for.
And he's done a great job of getting clean too.
Oh my God, and I don't tell who my sponsor is just for, to drop names, but because of his recovery story, because of his success. He had a movie called Less Than Zero, and I always tease him, and I'm like, you know what? You've gone from being less than zero to a superhero and beyond. And I'm like, he is the biggest success story. I figured if this fucking addict who used for 30 years as well can fucking maintain 24 hours of sobriety, then there's a possibility. There's just a possibility that I can do it too. And he has been the most incredible inspiration in my life. And I am eternally grateful for that man. And I was one of his first sponsees, and now we have a group of 30, 40 guys. I'm the only queen in the group, and it's just incredible and amazing, and it's a blessing. So that's why I said, I'm glad that I went through everything I went through, because the universe has a plan for us. Our spirits come from the universe. They're created and they derive from the universe, and there's a plan. Of course, we have a choice in that plan today, but it's I'm glad I went through everything that I went through, because I wouldn't be where I am now, and I might not have met the people that I've met. And so I'm glad that this road is definitely for a reason. It's for a significant reason.
What is the core of drug addiction? Do you think it's a lack of self-worth? Do you think it's just being exposed to drugs and that just sucks you in? Or?
It starts out, sometimes it's just recreational and party, and then it's and then it turns into, because I have a map out of my 30 career history in drugs, excuse me, the first 10 years were great, like doing meth. Like, you know, it was like I had a clothing production. I did a line of fashions back in the early 90s with this fabric that David Hockney, the artist, gave me because I had a connection with him. And I did this first art fashion line. And so the first 10 years were very productive. And, you know, the second 10 years is when I decided, well, you know what? Maybe I should change my career and move to Lancaster and learn how to manufacture methamphetamine. Which I did, and that lasted for about 10 years, which was crazy. It was a crazy point in time in my life. And then the last 10 years are when it got really dark, and when it got, you know, it was sexual and very deviant orientated and just very dark, you know. And so, yeah.
What's been the best period of your life?
What's been the best period of my life? These 18 years of sobriety. Yeah, they've been the best period of my life. I work at Cosmo. I work with a person called Cosmo, which I've known for 100 years. Like we met smoking crack in the alley over by Alvarado. That bitch was at one end of it. I was at the other end, and I'm like, who's this fucking little bitch over here? She looks kind of gay. Like, what's going on? And she's looking at me, and she had her poppy chulos, and I had my poppy chulos, and we were all smoking and carrying on. And we met in the middle, and we have been the best of friends ever since. And Cosmo has several stores on Melrose. I've worked with him this last 20 years. He was my Eskimo. I was in jail. I did one more term in jail for 3 months, not prison, but jail, right before I got sober. And Cosmo came running through there. She got busted and came running through there and had this weave in her hair, and the queens were trying to pull it out. And so I braided her hair into the weave so they wouldn't fuck with her. And then we ended up, she threw me the big book. She said, read the first 165 pages of this big book. Because I knew at that point when I had to do 3 months to finish the Prop 36 that I was on because I had one more relapse. I had a relapse after the prison program. And I had to do 3 months, and it was crazy because the judge was like, you know, okay, since you can't do your complete, you can't bring me a good report, I'm just gonna have you do your last 3 months in prison. In county jail, and then you'll be free. You won't have anything over you, you know. And I've had a little Alka-Seltzer I slip in my mouth because I come from the Lucille Ball School of Drama, and I had a little Alka-Seltzer I slipped in my mouth, and I was crying and foaming at the mouth, and I'm like, I can't. Right now, my mom is sick. I need to be able to, there's some things I need to take care of. She's like, take care of your affairs in 3 weeks and report back to this courtroom on this date at this time. And honestly, that was my first step into recovery, because I realized that, you know what, I could run. I'm the master of disguise. I could, and I was like, no, I'm going to go and turn myself back into this court and do this 3 months. And when I got to the fucking jail, I saw all these people that were just like, some of them I knew, and they just looked like Night of the Walking Dead. It was like they were so fucking emaciated and it just looked like they were just zombies. And I was like, this is where your life, I got the most significant spiritual awakening at that point. And it was like, this is where your life is going to go. This is who you get to be if you continue down this path. And I was introduced to Buddhism, in 2002, and I just got on top of an empty bunk in lotus position and just started chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, because I knew my life conditions had to change. My life conditions had to change. I didn't know what that looked like or how I was going to find that, but I knew it had to come from inside. And so I did. And then, I got a Buddhist chaplain to bring me like fucking reading materials and stuff. And that, like I said, Cosmo threw me the big book. And I'd never really done the steps before. The program I did before was Therapeutic Community, that Robert and I did with Therapeutic Community, behavior modification, relationship, that sort of curriculum. And I never did the 12 steps before, and I wasn't really familiar with them, but I was intrigued by it because I'm like, if these 12 steps, the same 12 steps, work for so many different dysfunctions, overeating, drinking, sex, fucking smoke, if it works for all these, the same 12 steps works for all these disorders, and it's worked for so many fucking millions of other people, then let me give it a chance. I was open and willing enough. I'm like, let me give it a chance. Let me see what happens. What do I have to lose? And I stood up as a newcomer in county jail. And when I got out, me and Cosmo hooked back up. I started living with Cosmo, working with him again. And it's been amazing. Like, you know, it's been really amazing. I just continue to move forward. Robert started sponsoring me like right then, like in my first year. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to keep moving forward because I gravitate towards what enriches my spirit, what feels good in my spirit. And that felt good. When I walked into those rooms, it was like, I felt this unconditional love that I'd never felt in my life before. And I was like, what is this? You know, it feels good. And these people just want you to be successful. They want you to recover. They want you to, you know, prosper in life. And it was like, and I was like, I like this. I gravitated back. That's what kept me coming back, is that unconditional love. And, you know, and I just put one fucking Christian Louis Vuitton in front of the other and kept moving forward. And that's how I'm at 18 years today.
It's healing, isn't it?
Oh my God, it's definitely healing. It's healing. You get to like do this. I think every human being should have to, just to live on this earth, should have to go through the 12 steps one time, just at least go through them one time in order to live here. Because it's like, I can imagine what a place this world would be, because it gets to show the 12 steps. You get to fucking do that work. You get to do that self-work.
Just the honesty.
The honesty, the rigorous honesty. You get to fucking really, really, and then start to be accountable for all the shit you've done in your past. You get to make amends for that. You get to let go of that. And you get to let, you know, the universe and a higher power that you get to create under your own understanding do the work. So whatever my higher power puts in front of me, I just do it.
That's a great idea that everyone should do it.
Everyone, just once.
Not just
and if it
alcoholics
doesn't work for you, that's fine. You know, your life is right there. That fucking bullshit and chaos and madness is right there, honey. You know, but yeah, that's my theory.
That's a great idea. I love it. Being trans has changed over the decades, right?
It has, and thank God for RuPaul, which I knew before RuPaul was RuPaul and before there was Drag Race. Yeah, it's really changed. I mean, people are like, you see drag and you see trans, you see people starting out doing drag and end up transitioning because they realize that, you know, a lot of my Drag Race friends have, you know, done that. And it's like, it's just an amazing transformation because, you know, they say the truth will set you free. And I believe that wholeheartly, because if you're true, if you have a true understanding of who you are or want to be, or you nurture that, whatever it may look like, then that's the freedom you get to have. That's the freedom I've learned from transitioning and being able to do a 12-step program in that process. And it's a freeing, amazing, healing, like you said, experience. You know, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. These are the best years of my life, you know. And like I said, I'm 100 and something, honey. I'm a young vampire, but it's like crazy. Like, it's really crazy. And the people I meet and the people I get to help, you know, I follow Robert's guidance and his example, and like I have a bunch of kids, a bunch of people that I'm sponsoring in the program of 12 Steps, and I have a meeting now for them. Like every Sunday at 5:30, we meet on Zoom, and we you know, and we get together and we share our experience, strength, and hope. And that's what Robert did for us in the pandemic. He made 2 meetings: 9:30 a.m. meditation morning meeting, and then a 7:15 at night check-in meeting every single day. You know, he's not there every single day, but most of the time he is. And I mean, I think what this world is about is helping other people today. It's like getting out of self. I mean, of course, I have healthy narcissistic narcissism today. I have healthy narcissism today, but it's not just all about me or because of me or me, I. It's what I can do to help someone else recover in their life or find out who they are, you know, in their true identity and their true, you know, character. And it's an amazing gift, because what I do here on this earth by helping other people is the only thing spiritually I get to take with me when I leave here. Mm-hmm. It really is.
So when somebody's deep in their addiction, just screwing up in every way they can, mm-hmm. and sounds like you were there at one point, mm-hmm. there's still hope?
Oh, absolutely.
Because there's a young trans person on my channel that's very popular. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the comments, you know, half the comments are in support and have hopeful support of him, her. But then the other half are just like, just give up. This person's lost. You're wasting your time. But you say there's still hope.
Oh, there's always absolutely hope. If you have the desire, like it says in the...
Because he's only 26.
Oh, well, I have lots of young sponsees.
He's a kid.
That are young. But you know what? And that's the great thing about this today is that it's everywhere. You look at anything on TV or the movies, or you see something about recovery going on, and it's available. It's readily available for anyone who wants it today, which is great because back in the day it was all shh, hush, hush. Today it's being broadcasted,
But if the person isn't ready, they're just not ready.
If they're not ready, they're not ready. But you can be the example that might, you might be that seed planted that might, I've done that before. People have been like, you know what? I didn't understand what you were doing early on, but now I've got a few trans girls that are and boys that are, I have sponsees and grand sponsees and great grand sponsees today. And it's like, you know what? I looked at you and I saw how happy you are and what a light you are, and it's like, and it's a program of attraction,
But sometimes just the love and kindness that you can show.
The love and kindness
can transform somebody.
Absolutely, that unconditional love.
I've seen that happen many times in my life. So when my viewers are going, oh, you're just wasting your time, this person's lost, all that, they've never seen it.
Yeah.
They've never seen it.
Right.
So they're lost, and they're just like, no, you give up. There's no positive signs being shown. Just give up. And those that's almost the time you need that help the most.
You do. You need that unconditional love. There's a saying that says, "Let us love you so you can love yourself." It's like it's crazy, but I mean, whatever this process is,
you have to believe in miracles.
The miraculous. There's miraculousness happening all the time in the program, but it's like you just have to have the desire. It's like the only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking, using, or whatever else the dysfunction is.
I'm actually sad for the people that watch my channel and don't have this positive attitude and believing in miracles.
Well, you know what? It's all possible. Who knows? Maybe this will help someone today. Like if I could just help one person, that means a lot. Because one person helped me, and it's like I see the development and how it grows and how it actually works. It's a cliche saying, it works if you work it, but it's really true. It works if you work it. It's just a universal law. I've learned that in my Buddhism, that cause and effect. It's a universal law that you only get out of something what you put into it. And it's like, and if you put something pure into it and something loving and something like in an unconditional level with no strings attached, you get all that back and more and much more, Yeah, absolutely.
What a beautiful talk.
Yeah.
Krystal, thank you so much for...
Can you hand me my book? Can I plug my book? Because, I'm, before I was transitioning in my life, I was I did drag. We had a group called Michelangelo and the Cosmetics back in the day. And I'm in this book, this is our book now, and it's called Legends of Drag, Queens of a Certain Age. And this is me. It's me in Hollywood, yes. All my costumes, all of my garments. I designed for Cosmo and Donato, Cosmo Glam Squad, and also Shoe Whore, which we call Fashion Whore too today, are available. This book, Legends in Drag, available on Amazon.
That was a plug.
I'm just really proud.
Excellent. Thank you, Krystal.
Thank you.